Hello, welcome to Dissident Canada. My name is Tyler. And as promised, I will be talking about two good things that are happening in the world right now. Very good. Um, One relates to Canada in the sense that like, I think it's a week and a bit, we're supposed to have our own version of it, which is fantastic. And technically, the second one also relates to Canada because if what's going on in the United States happens, it's going to propagate throughout the world, which will be fantastic. But first off, let's talk about the first thing I was talking about, which I alluded to is having something to do with Canada, and that is the Raise the Colors protest that is happening in specifically England. I believe it's also happening in parts of Ireland and parts of Australia. This is a protest where those who think of themselves as English and identify as English not are protesting against mass immigration and the thinking of mass immigrants who do not wish to integrate whatsoever, calling themselves now English as well for reasons, um, by raising the what is referred to as the colors. It is an old, mostly from the context I know it of, is nautical term of raising the flag, the colors. So they're in England. They're raising like the St. George flag and their actual national flag, and the national flag in Australia, and the national flag in Ireland. This has been going on for at least a week, where it's actually, no, it's a little bit longer than a week now. It might be a month. It's been going on for a while. I was tracking it, and I wanted to see if it was catching hold, and it seems to be catching hold in various countries. I would love to see it happen in Germany, just to see people freak the ever living hell out, because there's like this, how do I put it? There's this theory that you can't have national German pride, because every time you have that, you get a world war. That's hilariously misinterpreting those wars. For the most part, the Germans didn't start it. They were reacting to stuff done to them by other empires. But that being said, they did do some shit. I'm not saying anybody is without guilt in those wars. No, 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 no. Everybody is guilty. It's geopolitics. There ain't no ray of sunshine in that group. There is just a bunch of pricks. But, anyways, you're seeing this rise in patriotism and nationalism. And it's extremely interesting to see people once again care about the state of their nation and going back to the old way of thinking about immigration, of we get to decide who comes in and who stays. And if we don't like you, you're going away forever. We don't want you. I like it because it is a recognition that the sovereign state is sovereign because of the people. The people are the true sovereign. The administrative state is not the sovereign. They execute the sovereign's intention, ideals, values, and beliefs. That is their job. Not to dictate, but to be dictated to, which I love that it's coming back. You know? I know I said it would come back, but to actually see it is very heartening. Um, I will rain on the parade a little bit and say it does remind me of many revolutions throughout history that didn't get so happy of an ending. It starts with the flags, then the police and the state do crackdowns, and it goes wrong from there. Hopefully, this does not happen. I'm fairly sure it won't happen because the world saw the reaction to the Canadian truckers' protest when Trudeau finally eventually got his crackdown that he was screaming for a while. Yes, that is the background information of what was going on in the background. I've read some by someone who was uh, in Trudeau's circle and was like, no, no, no. We ushered him out as soon as we saw this shit happening and was going to happen in Ottawa. We got him the hell out of there, and we were doing damage control from day one. But then he came back, and we were locked out, and it got worse. Like, that was that story. It's fascinating what goes on behind the scenes. Some people are smart enough, and some people can't think past their goddamn nose. Anyways, there is a chance that it gets not so fun. But the fact that it's getting attention, and you can see it very publicly and very much online, and it is recently being somewhat censored, but it's harder than it used to be to censor, because you're actually having competition in the space to a certain degree of online media. So it is difficult to 100% lock out a story. So I think for the most part it will remain peaceful. There may be scraps, like you may have counter protesters and they start agitating, and specifically in England, you'll likely see some English lads knock the ever living hell out of who they consider to be invaders. And you'll probably see it in Australia too. If and when Canada has ours, I doubt it will be the same. It will be very peaceful. Very peaceful. At least, possibility. There's a possibility it goes way off the rails. And that's just because we already had a massive protest that didn't really achieve much. So there's the chance that the next big massive one gets a little rowdy, to say the least. But anyways, it's great to see people standing up for their country, and seeing what's going on, and hopefully this is actually organic, and this is not one of those many operations run by the administrative state to gather people they hate so that they can more easily deal with them. So, and by deal with, I mean lock them up and punish them in very many ways. So that's great. Now the news out of excuse me, out of the United States is like a couple weeks. It's a little stale. One happened just this past week, but in general, I'm going to be talking about Secretary Kennedy, who continues to be the shining star of the current United States administration, and basically the ace that Trump has. Because I feel like Trump is going to do some really stupid shit in the next little bit, especially with Bibi going to war again, or re-ramping up war. Never really stopped. But Kennedy has lost his patience with these people and is starting to hit them. he is still playing a very, very tactical game, and he needs to do so because otherwise, he can be stripped of power in various numerous ways. So he's going about it very slow, but we are getting massive pushback. He got rid of that guy from the CDC. There are people saying Satanist and blah, blah, blah because he was wearing a pentagram. And I could sit here and give you the detailed explanation of why. Not really, because the actual satanic pentagram, there is one of the 5 points that is elongated, and that was an equidistant pentagram, which means it comes from oh god, it's a very pagan thing, but it's to ward off evil, and then you have certain Christians adopted that symbol to trap devils and demons and stuff. So it's not that one-sided, but when you look at what the guy was doing, you're like, yeah, maybe you're a demon. Maybe you are a little bit Satanist. You just don't know the historical context, like most people of that shit. But anyways, there is what appears to be, at the very least, multi-million-dollar campaign being run against Kennedy to be like, we need to get rid of Kennedy. He's such a bad guy. He's going after the vaccines. He's not actually going after the vaccines. He's saying, we're going to do the science. We're going to do actual proper fucking studies and see, is this actually effective? Is this safe? We need to do actual science. We need to have data. We're not going to mandate people have that, which, on the topic of mandates, the other day, the Florida Surgeon General, along with the Florida Governor, Ron DeSantis, removed the mandates for all vaccines for children in Florida, which is great because it is a parental rights issue. The state does not get to dictate to you, the parent, that your child has to do fuck all when it comes to an invasive medical procedure or any medicine whatsoever. That is the right of the parent to decide. And if you don't like that, okay, then you believe in a world where the state gets to choose everything for you. So please, go F yourself. Anyways, so Kennedy's been doing great, slow, and it seems to that he eventually has broken through to Donald Trump about specifically the COVID mandates and the COVID pokey pokes, because Trump on September 1st released a Truth Social post in which he goes after saying, hey, I'm hearing a lot of bad things about Operation Warp Speed. People are telling me it's great, but why aren't these companies releasing their numbers that they've shown me? They're not making it public. Well, I want to clear up this mess. I want to know about what's going on here. I need to know. Now, I never thought Donald Trump would put something out that would ever criticize Operation Warp Speed, because he billed it as like his great achievement, and it was billed to him as a great achievement. And with the skepticism and the data coming out about what happened and how bad it was, his mea culpa, I thought, was always going to be, well, we'll put Secretary Kennedy as the guy behind. He'll be the mea culpa. He'll go through and he'll fix everything, and I don't have to ever admit that I was wrong, because that is not how Donald Trump's ego works. He is very not much the guy who comes out and says, yo, I fucked up, bro. I'm gonna fix it, but like, dude, I fucked up. I'm sorry. Like, that's not Donald Trump, and I never thought we would even get close to this. Now, this is a little bit of a weak statement. To be fair, it is kind of weak. It is not as critical and as hard-hitting as Donald Trump normally is, and that's probably because Susie goddamn Wiles is still his chief of staff, so she mitigated it a little bit, probably. But, the president, you can see the president is very, very confused and mad at some shit. So it's a great thing that happened, though. Like, Kennedy has done great things. He fired the one dipshit. I saw this in the campaign to go after Kennedy because he had just done a study that said, like, oh, hey, yeah, all that shit that Kennedy's been saying and researching for like 20 years now about the food being bad and highly addictive, yeah, that's bullshit. The guy who's been in the CDC for a very long time, and I don't want to make accusations that I have not proved yet, but if you've read Kennedy's book, The Real Anthony Fauci, okay? Which I still have it over here. You kind of know that everybody that works in the public health arena, at least in the United States, but basically all over the world, is compromised to the ever-living highest degree that you could ever think of, and is receiving, at least hundreds of thousands of dollars a year from the companies they are supposed to keep in check. All right? So when I look at Kennedy, who's done the research himself, and like, if you go grab one of Kennedy's books speaking about health, everything is meticulously researched, documented, and sourced to an insane degree. There's like, on The Real Anthony Fauci, there is a consultation list of doctors that he used so that he was getting the medical science right. Like, he has done better work than the vast majority of PhDs who put out fucking research papers, and he's a goddamn lawyer. All right? I mean, he's the son of a Kennedy. You would not expect him to do the amount of research necessary to put out one of these books. And he's done it. Versus the institutionalist who's been in government and is likely to be corrupt as all sin. Who am I going to trust? The one who actually goes through and does science? Or the guy who likely just rubber stamps shit from pharmaceutical companies and big ag? Fuck off. Who am I going to trust? So, these are really good things that have happened, the last couple weeks. All right? The more people ramp up on Kennedy, the more he wins, because he just comes off as a sane individual when you listen to him. He's got the voice thing, so it's kind of hard to listen for a little bit. Like, if you were listening to an hour-long speech, all right? But, like, the clips that come out attacking Kennedy, he is very, very careful with his words, and he sounds like a reasonable person. And the people attacking him sound like fucking retards, especially when you back when I was in, like, 7th grade and we started, expanding what we were doing in science, we were taught the scientific method, and I remember it for the most part. I forget all the goddamn steps, but I remember it being very meticulous and being like, yeah, you come in with a hypothesis, or hypothesis, thesis, hypothesis, whatever the fuck in order it goes in, and you design an experiment and you remove as much as you can, and you mitigate the factors you can't, and then you just let it happen, and you see what happens, and then you repeat it, and you repeat it, and you repeat it, until you get a good data set. Meanwhile, specifically with COVID, if you research what they did with the COVID pokes, you're like, This isn't even science. Like, this doesn't even meet the minimum threshold of science. This is, as Brett Weinstein and Heather Hine have been saying, is scientism. It's a religion that pretends it's based in science. Like, it's just ridiculous that they go after Kennedy, and yet he stands there and he's like, yeah, okay, come on, here's the facts, here's the data, let me bring you. I'm going to sit here and be a reasonable guy. Now, he does get angry from time to time, but when he's getting angry, like, again, when he was being, when he was doing the Senate confirmation hearing, Bernie he got angry at Bernie, but Bernie came off as a fucking loon, because he is. And then Kennedy torched him and is like, hey, how much are you getting paid by the drug companies? And then Bernie just, you see Bernie go, oh fuck, this is bad. And then he goes on the attack and says, no, I got, he does that how Bernie speaks, and like, no, it's from the working class, it's from the people. And then Kennedy's like, really? I have the disclosure right here. Here's a pharma company, $2 million. Here's another pharma company, $2 million. In total, it's X millions of dollars. So, really, you're getting paid by pharma. Just, like, Kennedy is so good. They need to attack him more, just so Kennedy can wipe the floor with them. Like, it's so fun to watch Kennedy just destroy people with facts and data. And be reasonable about it. And not, like, and not do the thing of what Ben Shapiro does, which is, he's a great debater, I will say that. But if he were to go up against anybody with any amount of skill, and not just, college leftists, per se, like, if he were to go up against a Kennedy, all right, Secretary Kennedy, all right, in a standardized debate format, or just a conversation, Kennedy wins that, hands down. And it's not because Kennedy is, a great debater or he's a great lawyer. He just knows what the hell he's talking about. Like, Shapiro can throw shit at the wall and see what sticks, and just, like, that's his style. That's the modern debate style. It's just throw shit, speak as fast as you can, get as much shit out, and have them respond. But they can't respond to everything because you need to have, a detailed response to everything. Kennedy can do that. Like, I'd love to see it, because, I just love it when Ben Shapiro loses, because the guy screams deep state in every way possible. Like, literally, the company he is with and is part owner in screams of, was it Bluebird or Mockingbird, where the CIA helped set up actual media companies, and they were funded by, like, oil baron brothers, but instead of oil baron brothers, it's natural gas baron brothers from California and not Texas, that funded the Daily Wire. I don't know if the CEO got removed or not yet. There was rumors of that, but that guy that was there, like, failed screenwriter. It just, like, stop using a script that's 50 years old that people know. It's so easy to tell. Yeah. And then, the company founded as, we're media company founded as, we're anti-Donald Trump, then comes around to be Donald Trump. And then when Donald Trump loses and then wants to run again, pushes the guy who stabbed Donald Trump in the back, Mike Pence. Like, really? You think these people are like on the side of the people, the working class. I just like the fact that the Daily Wire just does not get any play anymore. It's not gone viral. I mean, Matt Walsh does, but like, he's a very iffy guy in my opinion. Anyways, some great stuff that's happened this weekend. I'll let you marinate on that over the weekend, and I'll be back on Monday with something. So until then, have a great weekend. Have a good Monday. I'll see you Monday night with something yet to be determined.